So, you want to scale your business with more clients, more profits, but without the stress? How about gaining that competitive edge by keeping up with the latest digital trends? Or maybe you want to transform your thinking from the ordinary to the extraordinary. That's what this channel is all about. We focus on brand strategy and design, new marketing strategies, social media marketing, influencer marketing, paid advertising. And now we talk customer experience with digital technologies, digital trends, and data analytics. It's all about digital transformation.
Hello and welcome to the Digital Perspectives. I'm Praveen Gautam, your host today. This program is all about exploring your digital trends, strategies, and really practical ideas to build your brand and monetize it. Today, this episode, I've been really waiting for this episode. So if you're watching this right now from different channels, including social media, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, yes, LinkedIn Live, or any other channels like Instagram, feel free to give us a thumbs up, comments, or share this post to a wider community. Well, we are living in a very interesting time for sure. And, no doubt people are struggling in business and life. But one of the words which we all need to learn, practice every day is optimism. Yes, optimism. Optimism in your life, optimism in your business, and of course, optimism in your leadership. Today, I'm really excited to welcome my special guest, Helen Mack, who is an expert in helping leaders optimizing outcomes even in this challenging time. So let me quickly connect to Helen. Good day, Helen. Great to have you today.
It's lovely to be here, Praveen. Very excited to join you.
That. Now, viewers, all our friends and viewers are watching this right now, and we will obviously explore about how to maintain our best possible mindset for digital business. Yes, every business is digital business these days. But before that, Helen, just a little bit about your story. I'm quite fascinated. We have met. It has been a while now, isn't it? We have met 5-6 years ago, and obviously you are a role model and expert in helping leaders to create a better results with their people, system, and processes for more than 30 years. Yeah. So our viewers are really curious to know how you're reinventing your business after the toughest 6 years of your life, Helen.
Yeah, thanks, Praveen. It has been a roller coaster ride even before COVID hit our shores. Over the last 6 years, I actually went into a business hiatus that wasn't caused by a pandemic. It was caused by a health crisis with my husband. And so I put my business on hold at a time when it was going very well. It wasn't as digital as it is now, but it was certainly involved a variety of platforms for delivering content to people around the country and around the globe. But I put that on hold to care for my husband, and so just waited until hoping that he would get well. Unfortunately, while I was able to apply all of my principles to keeping us both having the best possible mindset as we went through that very trying time, he was unable to win that fight, and so a couple of years ago he passed away, and I had to definitely apply all of my principles of maintaining my mindset as I recovered from that. And just as I had got my feet under me, I was lucky enough to start a new relationship with someone who lives in the same club, the club that no one wants to belong to, the Widows Club. So we had to start a relationship, and that started just before COVID. And then just as I was getting my business started, COVID hit and basically kneecapped me. So all of the things that I teach others, I really had to apply in my own business.
Wow. Simply, I have no words here, and the viewers who are watching this right now, they can comprehend if they have gone through that journey in life and business. So it's certainly, and I'm sure You must be very proud what you are, the reinventing you are working on both life and business.
Well, one of the important elements that came out of, I was very fortunate in that my late husband and I had lots of opportunities for conversations about how he wanted me to continue my work. And one of the agreements that we made just before he died was that I would live a life that was a legacy of our love. And so it was absolutely a requirement of him that I pick myself up, apply what he knew I was really good at teaching other people, and show the world that you can maintain an optimistic mindset even in the face of very, very difficult circumstances.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Legacy of love. Wow. Certainly, inspiring every day we live in, to the people we meet in the journey, and definitely, you are a great example. So, which also reminds me about a lot goes through the mindset, isn't it? Pretty much, Helen.
Absolutely. The way that we approach the world can be impacted hugely by the mindset that we choose. So when you talk about the best possible mindset, if we put that in inverted commas, it's really about looking, particularly at this time when everything's in turmoil. We're in a time when our businesses are in turmoil, our lives are in turmoil, kids' schooling, every element of our lives that we've maybe had a little bit under control are suddenly topsy-turvy, and the speed of change at the moment, even if we didn't have the COVID crisis that we're going through, digital transformation is happening at such a pace that we would be dizzy anyway. You add in all of the challenges around the pandemic in all its shapes and forms. If we don't have our mind right, then we can be in all kinds of trouble.
Absolutely. And it all starts with mindset. That's so true. And that's where we have seen in last 8-9 months now, this year has gone so quickly. 9 months, obviously, we have seen this 9 years of transformation and more. So it's all comes with a mindset. There is no doubt. Now, I can see a number of viewers, the leaders and entrepreneurs are watching this, and our beautiful community, our association, Professional Speakers Associations, some of the leaders, I can see that they're all watching this right now. So I'm curious to know, and the viewers are really interested to know here today, Helen, is in today's competitive and challenging market, why is an optimistic mindset is a key in transformation? And here we're talking about digital transformation, or if you like, digital success, Helen.
Mm-hmm. So I think, as I said a minute ago, the fact that all of our lives have become more digital. So I know you and I, Praveen, have always been involved in multiple platforms of communication, but now we spend most of our lives in a virtual world communicating with our clients, with our team members, and even with our families and friends via the kind of format that we're using today. So our worlds have become more virtual, more digital. What we need to remember is that behind the digital transformation are the people, whether that be the leaders of the organisations, the owners of the organisations, or the teams. We all need to be thinking about how we are thinking. And in fact, a little bit like it's a bit hard to exercise at the moment because it might be hard to get outside, we also need to make sure that we are exercising, that we are consciously making choices about the way we think about the challenges that are facing us. And an optimistic mindset is a critical success factor for businesses, particularly in the digital transformation space, because there's a significant difference between optimistic thinking and positive thinking. And would you like me to explain that difference, Praveen?
Yeah, please. We'd love to learn. Please, Helen.
So the challenge of positive thinking is that it has a feel-good factor, but it's missing a critical element. It's missing what I call the action imperative. And the action imperative that is built into optimism starts with the definition. So the definition of optimism is that it's the search for the good, or the search for the best possible. And because it has that search component built in, it means that you can do things to create this best possible outcome for your business. If you just think positively, you might end up with a warm, fuzzy feeling, but you're not necessarily going to take action. In our world currently, the most important thing that we can do, regardless of whether we're doing an internal digital transformation or whether part of our business is helping other people transform their businesses, what we need to recognise is that the first step is a reality check. And at the moment, that reality check can be fairly tricky because people have all kinds of obstacles, challenges and difficulties that they're facing. But if we take a reality check, then we can ask 3 questions. Where am I now? Where do I want to be? And what's the best possible way for me to get there? If we ask the question, what's possible, then we can overcome a lot of the limitations that are being caused by COVID and by the various challenges that we're faced in relation to running business in a pandemic. So what's possible switches on your mind to making choices, and that's what the optimism mindset is all about.
Oh, I just love it, Helen. I mean, I love your perspective, how you say reality check and both life and business. Totally. Because sometimes, you just sometimes you don't know what you don't know for sure. So it is important to check as we go through. Now, also you touched on about positivity or positivism and optimism with action. So what I'm hearing, or what leaders and all we are hearing is, obviously be positive, but with action. Yeah, that's what you are mentioning. Now, also second point you mentioned here a little bit touched on is a culture, because before we were all working in the office, this everything in physical. We go to see clients physically, go and, so some of the sales leaders who are watching this right now, they can see, they go and visit the clients and do physically. Some of our, buddies from Professional Speakers Association, we go and present there. But now everything the world has been changed or twisted. And obviously there is a whole gap here between the physical and virtual, and where there will be a challenge in maintaining that culture. And when we talk about the business, obviously, the question is how to build the culture in the digital business that bridges a gap between management and the rest of the team.
Mm-hmm. So the challenge with virtual is that I've had a number of my coaching clients say to me, how do I keep track of my people? And the 3 things that I recommend that people look at for leaders when they're looking at how do they reach out and connect with their people. And the first is to create clarity. So culture requires clarity. As the leader, as the manager, as the business owner, if you are not crystal clear about what you expect of your team and how you expect them to deliver that, then they will get lost. And one of the things that I say is that if they have to make it up, they'll muck it up. So if they have to work out what you want, the chances are they'll get it wrong somehow. So the first is you need to create clarity. Be very clear about your expectations. The pre-step to that is making sure that you are really crystal clear first. So create clarity. The second is maintain your own mindset and be a role model of the way that you want them to approach things with this optimistic, consciously choosing decision-making process. And then the third piece is to maximize momentum. So with little pieces of success, so as people have a little success, celebrate that, builds momentum, make sure that every small step forward is recognized and used as a foundation or a base for the next step.
Interesting you say that, culture requires clarity, obviously, as a leader, you being as a role model, because recently I was reading one book and it says something like leadership is not a position or not a title. It's what you exhibit, what you show, what you live in day to day. And I love that. I love that perception. So that's great. Culture requires clarity, role model, and maximize momentum. So do you think that is the gap between the management and the rest of the team? If these 3 boxes are ticked, do you think will that help the organization to move the needle, Helen?
I think that's those 3 pieces are like the building blocks or the pieces of the bridge, because if you can get those 3 happening simultaneously, then the team will feel like they are connected to you. And I think at this point, it's really about making sure that you connect with different team members in the ways that suit them best, because what's often happening is managers are falling into an old habit of, I'll do things the way I used to do. We need to be much more creative in the way we reach through the lens out to our team to make them feel like we are connecting to them in a way that we're paying attention to what they need. And by doing that, then we can bridge that that gap. We can make it so that everyone knows where everyone is traveling together. And I often say that the key element of an optimistic mindset is the first 3 letters, which is opt. Make sure that you are consciously choosing the way that you approach things, and that'll definitely connect you better with your teams. Wow.
All right, I can see a number of viewers here, and thanks, Selena. She said you are awesome, Helen. So that's great. If you are just tuning in, I am with Helen Mack, CSP, and we are talking about how to maintain a best possible mindset for digital business. And obviously, every business is digital business. Mm-hmm. So if you are enjoying this, feel free to give a thumbs up, comments, or if there's anything specific questions for you to ask to Helen, please just type it in and we will bring here on the live. So that's great. So let's little bit talk about, obviously we touched on about the clarity, about the culture, about optimism. Now, what do you think, Helen, what is the best approach for digital business to keep the momentum and get the best possible outcomes for their business?
I think the key is to be for the leader to articulate for themselves an idea of the what's possible. I think one of the challenges at the moment is that the what's possible seems to be shrinking, and what we can't do becomes our focus. So if we shift our focus from what we can't do to what's possible, just changing that one question can change everything. I've worked with a number of people recently, and they've said that it just changes conversations. If someone says, this is what we can't do, we're stuck with this, we can't fix that, this is limiting us, simply asking the question, okay, they're all the things that are real, what's possible? And then with the right mindset, you'll be able to move towards a best possible outcome. It sounds really simple, and it's hugely powerful.
Totally. So, that reminds me back when I started the business, obviously coming from other parts of the world, back from Nepal, and with almost, zero contacts and all this, I took over is about 35,000 of this international big loan. And the only thing it carried is obviously the mindset and, the confidence. So I can totally relate that. Now, also on that note, Helen, is what would you think then there will be a biggest challenge for the leaders or entrepreneurs right now, to keep the momentum for the best possible outcomes? What would be the other challenges, do you think?
I think one of the challenges at the moment is that Zoom life, virtual life, can feel a little bit lonely. And I think that we need to make sure that we are looking after ourselves as well, that a lot of leaders get so caught up in looking after their teams and then get caught up on tasks and projects that they forget that a little bit of self-care is where it all starts. So I recommend that you look for what I call the 3 somethings. So you need something, you need to know something that you can do for yourself that gives you a lift. So something to give you a lift, someone who can help you with that. So we all need what I call the helium balloon buddy, the guy or gal that you can call, and you can tell them when you're having a bad day, and they will give you an assistance. And the third one is somewhere. So where is the space or place you go when you just need to chill out? It might be physical, like going out of the house. It might be a place in the house, your favourite chair, your favourite nook in the garden. It might be somewhere virtual. It might be watching a movie or going on a virtual art gallery tour. So you need something, an activity that you like to do to give yourself a break, mental break or a lift, someone that who can help you through the tough times, and somewhere that can be your place where you can fill up. As a leader, we need to make sure that we are topping up our bucket so that we can give to others.
Beautiful. So literally a 3S. Yeah. So something, someone, and somewhere. Obviously change the positioning, and that changed the whole ways. That's beautiful. Now I'm conscious with the time. Helen, today, obviously, the time has gone so quickly. And obviously, those viewers who are watching this right now, you mentioned before that the ebook. Can you tell a little bit about the ebook? What you have presented on the TEDx Melbourne? That was a while ago, I would imagine, isn't it?
Yeah, it was, but it's really interesting. I revisited the content recently to see if it still applied, and it's even more relevant now. The topic of the book is called "Leadership is the Fine Line Between Optimism and Delusion," because we need to make sure we don't go too far and tip into delusion and go, oh, it's all going to be fine, without changing anything. And it just simply takes you through some ideas of some expansion of some of the ideas we've talked about, and some other things about how to optimize your outcomes by applying an optimistic mind, managing that very fine line so you don't end up taking yourself down the path of delusion, which is dangerous.
Absolutely. So, if you're watching this right now, and if you would like to get that ebook, please feel free to just email Helen at all the details are here, helen@helenmac.com. So just drop her a quick email. She would be more than happy to share that. And also, for those viewers, the best way for them to know more or read a little bit about the blogs or any content, if they want to know more, what would be the best way, Helen?
My website is so easy. It's simply helenmac.com. So it couldn't be easier if you tried. And I also would love to offer to your audience a complimentary consultation. If anyone would just like to pick my brain a little bit about how I might be able to give them some ideas on optimizing outcomes in their digital businesses, more than happy. Just flick me an email, and we can set that up for your audience anytime.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time, Helen. I'm so grateful. And obviously, I will rewatch these episodes, and there's so many things we all can learn and implement in your life. Thank you so much. Is there any final things you want to share about today?
Probably the final thought that I would like to leave with your audience is simply that it's up to you. You can choose an optimistic mindset and get the best possible outcome.
Beautiful. Thank you, Helen. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks again for tuning in. Like Helen, let's do everything we can to learn and practice optimism every day in day to day. So optimism in your life, optimism in your business, and optimism in your leadership. So we'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this episode, just drop me a quick email at praveen@viznetwork.com.au.